you in the mood for an apocalyptic sci-fi thriller, Netflix is dropping its Argentinian series El Eternauta, or The Eternaut, which is based on a graphic novel series. Now, this is a bit of a slow burn at first, but does the series have a payoff? One summer's night in Buenos Aires, a mysterious, deadly snowfall wipes out most of the population and leaves thousands stranded. Juan Salvo and his friends embark on a desperate struggle for survival, and everything changes when they discover that the toxic snowstorm is just the first problem they must face. So this is very much a slow-burning story where we spend the first 3 episodes without any real context of what's going on. And that isn't a negative in the slightest. We get to watch a few different groups of people as they experience one fateful night where the power goes out and then a mysterious and deadly snowfall takes out anybody who is unlucky enough to breathe it in. Now, as the city is thrust into worry and chaos, we watch small groups begin to band together in the hopes of surviving whatever is happening. The time spent with the characters allows us to get to know them, including their mannerisms and their behaviors, which becomes important in remaining engaged with each character. Now, I love that there is tension that's established right from the start, and thanks to the vagueness of what's provided, there's a large mystery at play in the midst of this survival story. And while the first 3 episodes are patient in their rollout, it doesn't mean that there aren't exciting action sequences that build anxiety. But this focuses more intently on the drama and the world building than it does on providing brawls. I mean, I can understand how this can try the patience a bit, also because we have to go through halfway through the season before we really get to any sort of reveal. But once that is given to us, there are some frenzied sequences that more than make up for the lack of action before. And while the story is based on a graphic novel series that was published almost 70 years ago, many sci-fi movies and shows have drawn on the ideas and the themes that are shown here. This unfortunately creates scenarios that allow the plot to fall into very familiar territory. So while the source material may have been visionary or even novel, now it feels like so many other works that we've seen. The arcs are still engaging, and they provide some thrills, but I spent the entire time with massive feels of deja vu because we've seen the storytelling several times before. And without getting into spoiler territory, just imagine any large-scale, life-altering event that we've seen in stories before. Maybe it's zombies, maybe disease, maybe nuclear fallout. The struggle to survive in the aftermath is what we watch play out here. And that includes all of the requisite elements that go along with that. I mean, some of the commentary revolves around the breakdown of society and then ultimately civilization, creating scenarios that can feel like The Walking Dead or maybe even Lord of the Flies. And while this is where the series is fairly generic or the same as other works, this story focuses less on the collapse and more on the journey that's ensuing. Now, the lead actor in this is captivating thanks to his quiet and brooding demeanor. Ricardo Darín plays Juan, a former soldier who is not only skilled, but struggles with some of his wartime experiences. Juan is observant and skeptical, but not foolproof or perfect. He comes across less as an ex-military Superman and more like a flawed human doing his best in these unknown circumstances. There are times when Darín feels restrained in the performance, but I think in reality it's him showcasing Juan's suspicion without any grounds for why he feels the way he does. Juan comes across as a relatable everyman, but maybe one with somewhat above average survival skills. Now, I appreciate the use of visual foreshadowing this series employs because it works to create dreadful anticipation while also not giving away the context for what we see. We can tell that some instances will be traumatic or violent, but how they come about and who might be affected, they're not revealed. And this helps to maintain some intrigue as the story goes along, even when you might begin to work out the overall arc. And that's something that kept me engaged with this. I mean, I had suspicions of what was taking place, especially in the latter half of the show, but the story doesn't outright say it. So we have to use some deductive reasoning from all of the context clues to reach the conclusion. Also, from a visual perspective, a lot of what we're shown looks convincing. As the skies turn and the snow falls, despite it being the middle of a heat wave, the cascading flakes look a lot like ash or something more nefarious, especially as people caught out in it start dropping dead. But other visuals rely on CGI, and some of them look great, while others, less than. I mean, these aren't poor enough to cause issues in enjoyment, but they can be noticeable. And for instance, there's a moment involving this train, and while it is a fun sequence, it does look more like a model going down a track than a real version. The show is an easy binge, thanks to a handful of engaging and somewhat sketchy characters, as well as the underlying mystery of what and why. This is also only 6 episodes for the first season, and with the first 5 being less than an hour, they go by quickly, even when the story stays away from action. Now, the final episode is over an hour, and while it creates a lot of suspense as we reach the climax, the show performs an action that could be the death knell for your enjoyment. This ends midway through the story, teasing us through intriguing visuals and enigmatic imagery. The fact that we don't have a complete arc, even if the full overarching storyline hasn't been completed, makes for a very frustrating conclusion. We go from watching some characters observing something fascinating and puzzling to then boom, a black screen, and then credits. I was absolutely drawn into this the whole way through, from the patient introductions of characters and relationships to the bizarre unveiling of the story complexities. The relational strain, it's convincingly established, so interpersonal conflicts feel natural within the extreme circumstances. And even when the elements here and there felt a little forced to create thrills, the majority of the conflicts and stressors are earned. The acting is beautifully restrained when necessary just to build drama, and vibrantly explosive also when needed for action. Ricardo Darín embodies the right mix of perceptive alertness and concerned empathy to make his character of Juan Salvo an endearing and formidable presence, someone easy to cheer on as a hero. The biggest downfall of the show, which I chalk up to the streamer rather than to the writing or the direction, is a lack of resolution that leaves the audience dangling for an indeterminate amount of time until the series may return. There's no sex, some brief nudity, a lot of profanity, and a bunch of violence. I give Eternauta 4 out of 5 couches. And if this doesn't get renewed for another season, I'm going to be so disappointed. Ugh. All right, are there any slow-burning sci-fis that you love to watch? I'd love to hear about them in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.